Planet Earth, a living body abundant in water and nature. Blessed with this immense bounty, humankind has achieved the rapid growth that we see everywhere today. But now, the Earth faces the problem of global warming. There are several main reasons behind this. Wide-scale consumption of fossil fuels, changes in the environment brought about by changes in eating habits, and ever-increasing waste. Are there any methods by which we can solve these problems? How has humankind come to handle energy up to the present day? From primitive beginnings, humankind has slowly evolved over the ages. Our thirst for energy took off after the Industrial Revolution. And these days, many people are concerned about explosive future increases in the energy requirements of developing nations. Japan is deficient in natural resources and is dependent on imports for roughly 80% of its energy. Fossil fuels such as petroleum account for nearly all of this. There is a finite limit to these fossil fuels, however, and they are a non-renewable resource. The reality is that Japan relies on this expendable resource for the majority of its energy demand. Another serious issue that threatens humankind's future, along with current energy problems, is the shift in our food-related environment. Let's now have a look at this serious food problem. In the good old days, the Japanese had a diet based on rice, fish, and vegetables, and were completely self-sufficient. The expression mottainai, a term describing the preciousness of things that are not to be wasted, was woven into the subconscious of society and passed on from generation to generation. Crops produced in the fields were consumed at nearby homes, while leftovers and manure were used as fertilizer and reused in the production cycle, meaning nothing was wasted. So, how has our diet changed over the years? Rice, fish, and vegetables have made way for meat and fried foods, so present eating habits resemble a Western diet in many ways. Japan relies on imports for roughly 60% of this food. Its self-sufficiency rate sits at about 40%, marking quite a change from its earlier days of complete self-reliance. This percentage is very low when compared to other developed countries. The spirit of mottainai has weakened, and food leftovers have become a normal part of everyday life. Kyoto University carried out a study with the cooperation of Kyoto City and found that food leftovers accounted for about 40% of kitchen waste. Moreover, about 10% of this kitchen waste was food that hadn't even been opened. This picture shows a sample of untouched leftovers from 100 households collected over 3 days. Surprisingly, around 60% of the food had not passed its expiry date. If it were converted into cash, the huge amount of food incinerated as waste in Japan today actually represents roughly the same value as all agricultural goods produced domestically. In other words, it's like the Japanese are simply throwing away all domestically produced goods. In recent years, heat produced by waste combustion has been used to generate electricity. However, hard-to-burn waste with high water content is a predominant cause of lowered power generation. A simple illustration of Japan. A large volume of imports flow in, products are manufactured in large quantities, and are consumed. There is less and less of the society that once used everything, and in its place is one that throws out massive quantities of food. Such trends in our society have begun to take their toll on the Earth's environment. Global warming progresses day by day, right beneath our very feet. Various efforts are currently underway around the world to prevent humankind from further damaging the environment. Fossil fuels are a finite resource. In order to secure a stable supply of power for the future, these precious fuels must be used effectively, and at the same time, new energy methods must be developed. At present, newly distributed power sources that utilize natural energy, such as solar power, wind-generated power, and biomass power generation that produces energy from residual food are being actively developed for practical use. Every country in the world needs to cooperate if we are to stop global warming in its tracks and protect our lush environment. In 1997, the Kyoto Protocol was established in an effort to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. Developed in line with this protocol, the Biomass Nippon strategy has greatly contributed to the promotion of biomass resources in Japan. An experimental plant was established in Fushimi Ward of Kyoto City even before the Kyoto Protocol was ratified. And trials were conducted on the feasibility of power generation from biomass sources. In 2007, the Ministry of the Environment launched the Kyoto Biocycle Project, a collaboration between industry, academia, and government to develop new technologies that address global warming in order to leave our children a beautiful Earth. This project aims to bring all sectors together through the effective use of oil and other kitchen waste amassed in cities, along with wood collected from forests and fields as biomass sources. Waste wood generated in cities and wood collected from forest thinning is converted to methanol, which is then used in converting used cooking oils, for example, into biodiesel fuel. Food waste collected from households is converted to biogas at methane fermentation facilities, and the power and heat generated are siphoned off. The glycerin, which is produced when making biodiesel fuel, is also utilized in the methane fermentation process. It is in this way that the technology necessary for the effective utilization of biomass products produced in the region is actively promoted, reducing the production of greenhouse gases and bringing about the realization of a sustainable society. This is the essence of the Kyoto Biocycle Project. Now let's take a closer look at the methane fermentation process. Firstly, solid organic waste, such as carbohydrates and proteins, is converted into soluble organic matter through hydrolysis. Fermentative bacteria is then used to decompose this organic matter into low molecular weight compounds before being converted into acetate after passing through propionic, butyric, amino, and other acetic stages. This is referred to as acid fermentation. Acetate is broken down into methane gas and carbon dioxide through the action of methane bacteria, generating biogas to complete the methane fermentation process. The Kyoto Biocycle Project utilizes a dry-type methane fermentation method at its pilot plant that is designed to deal with the kitchen waste generated in cities. This system is known as the Campo gas process. The system consists of pretreatment, fermentation, gas utilization, and dewatering processes. Methane fermentation research is an extremely important area that holds many undiscovered possibilities. The Kyoto Biocycle project is currently engaged in the development of 3 techniques that will help unleash this hidden potential. First is the development of hyperthermophilic pretreatment technology. An 80 degrees Celsius hyperthermophilic pretreatment tank and an ammonia stripping tank will be added to the experimental plant. Residual food retrieved from the fermentation tank, which has an internal temperature of 55 degrees Celsius, is re-fermented inside the hyperthermophilic pretreatment tank at 80 degrees Celsius. This process increases biogas production while also controlling dehydrated residue. Ammonia, a fermentation inhibitor, is removed at the same time to reduce the strain placed on wastewater processing. The introducing of hyperthermophilic pretreatment is expected to increase biogas production by 20%, reduce residual waste by 50%, and cut wastewater treatment by 70%. Next is the development of techniques for the effective use of glycerin byproduct generated at the waste edible oil fuel production facility as input material for methane fermentation. A tank for storing glycerin byproduct recovered at the biodiesel facilities will be added along with an input line. These efforts will verify how it can be utilized as a practical input material in the methane fermentation process, while also uncovering new possibilities regarding the reuse of biomass. We are also working to verify the possibilities of resource circulation. When degradable waste easily processed by methane fermentation is taken from household waste that is usually incinerated and used as an input material for this fermentation, it is possible to transform the residual product into compost through ventilation and temperature regulation and put it to good use. A hybrid system that combines methane fermentation and incineration has been created to maximize the energy recovery efficiency of methane fermentation. Household waste put out in urban areas was generally a mix of incinerator-friendly dry material, including paper and plastic, and difficult-to-burn kitchen waste, contaminated paper, and the like. Although this was all incinerated together before now, the recent introduction of the Containers and Packaging Recycling Law has meant that dry, easily burnt paper and plastic packaging is sent on to be recycled. This has resulted in an increased overall water ratio for combustible waste, making it harder to burn. In other words, energy recovery efficiency of the incinerator was lowered. In order to rectify this situation, easily burnt waste is incinerated and used as energy. Furthermore, difficult-to-burn waste suited to fermentation is transformed into energy with methane fermentation. And dry-type methane fermentation, which excels at the combined processing of paper and kitchen waste, is introduced in order to up energy recovery efficiency through the methane fermentation of biogas-rich paper along with kitchen waste. This mix of paper and kitchen waste suited to methane fermentation is called biowaste. Methane fermentation of this biowaste allows for maximum energy recovery efficiency. Suitable operation of this hybrid system that combines methane fermentation and incineration will make a huge contribution to the realization of an energy self-sufficient society. We will now take a detailed look at this kind of energy self-sufficient society, taking a certain community as an example. Kitchen waste put out is collected and sent to the regional methane fermentation facilities, where a gas engine is used to generate electricity with the gas. This electricity is then supplied to public facilities within the community. Residue left after methane fermentation is recirculated as compost for flower beds around the region. Kitchen waste that has only been incinerated until now is reborn as energy and compost, enriching our lifestyles once more. Methane fermentation has the amazing potential to provide a platform for the realization of a self-sufficient society through the circulation of resources. Along with the establishment of technology, the cooperation of each and every citizen is essential to realize this kind of society. Let's work together to develop each of these possibilities and build a truly rich society. And I'm sure that what we will see before us is the sight of a boundless blue sky.